Oh hey guys, how are you? No, genuinely. How are you? Hi! So today's video is kind of unscripted. Well, they're not usually scripted anyway, but I usually have a notepad of what I want to say and points I want to get across. So please excuse me if it feels a little bit messy. So the other day I was feeling a little bit low. Nothing major, but you know, just one of those days. And I saw someone I knew and they said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And for a moment I was like, shall I tell them that I'm not feeling great? But I went with the safer option, and that is the classic response. And it kind of regurgitated up some thoughts that my mind has had in the past. And that is, why has it become like a rhetorical question to ask somebody how they are when you see them? Because to me it feels very much like when somebody asks me how I am, they don't actually care. They just do it as sort of like small talk. I'm sure I'm not the first person to question this question. Why has it become such a meaningless, free-worded sentence? Because it's not a question. This is going to sound very theatrical of me, but how are you, to me, is just a non-verbal. It shouldn't be, because it's a very crucial question to ask somebody, and it can have a massive answer that can dive really deep into, well, your emotions, how you are feeling, what's going on in your life. It just makes me sad that in this day and age people still feel very uncomfortable talking about what's going on in here. And it can depend on who you're with and who asks you the question, and you will come across times where people who ask you how you are not in the situation to sit down and listen to a very in-depth conversation about emotions and feelings. Oh hey! Oh hey, are you right? No, actually I caught up on Games of Thrones this weekend and I'm feeling very, very heartbroken and quite sad, so I would like to talk about it with you right now, please. I've got to go to work. I'm guilty of it, both asking and answering. We don't ever expect anyone to answer it seriously and real from the heart. We seem to respond with the default answer, which is usually "I'm fine, I'm good," and then we take the attention away from ourselves as quickly as possible with "you." It's like we're just afraid of how we are feeling and admitting to it and accepting it, because once you do that, then it's, you know, they know that you're vulnerable. Like, if you are feeling vulnerable, everybody feels a little bit fragile at times, so why are we having trouble admitting it? I was having a drink with my good friend Twiggy the other week, and we discussed this, and he's a director, and he told me he was working with an American band, making a music video for them, and he said, "You're right?" And they stopped him and they said, "Can we just ask, what does that mean when you Brits say you're right?" And Twiggy said, well, that question kind of stumped me a bit, because what do we mean? Why do we ask it? That it's not a globally recognised question or form of small talk, and we should work on that, and I'm trying to work on it, because I know for a fact that I want people to tell me how they're feeling. Release whatever it is you've got going on to somebody who you can trust. And you're not asking them to, you know, cure you and solve all your problems for you. I just think everyone's become so obsessed with time that they don't feel like anybody has enough time to listen and figure out how they're feeling. Makes me sad. That's how I'm feeling about this. We've all formed this anxiety in our head where we think we don't mean enough to somebody for them to care about our lives. And so we don't want to waste their time. You feel a little selfish talking to somebody. Whoever you are conversing with, they can tell you about how they're feeling as well. You know, it doesn't have to be a one-way thing. Make this, you know, the norm to talk. I've always felt like people don't express themselves enough. I used to talk to people online a lot when I was about 13 and I was feeling quite low. and I just needed to talk to people. But equally, I used to also find that I was the one people were flooding their emotions to as well. My generation was the first generation to have talks at school about online safety, because you can come across some dangerous people online and you have to be very careful. And whilst I agree with that, for me, talking to people online is what helped me. You still have to be careful. I'm not saying everyone online is a murderer or a psychopath, but just be careful where you're finding these people. Do not tell them too much personal info, like where you live and what underwear you're wearing. Some people like to write journals. That's quite a good idea, but it's hard to write out how you're feeling. It's equally as hard sometimes to talk about what you're feeling, which is kind of where discussion dates all began, because I literally sat down one day and discussed with the camera how I was feeling. It wasn't a person. I didn't feel like I was wasting their time. I was wasting the memory on the memory card, but that's okay. Vlogs don't have to go live. They don't have to go on YouTube. They can be on your laptop where only you can see them. Or if you want to, you could share them with specific people, like maybe your mum or a friend. People you trust. I would definitely recommend that if you're feeling a little wary about actually talking to an actual person to start off with. But you can start with me if you want. I'm around, I'm always here. Or even if it's a positive thing, if it's something that's making you feel good, even better. You know, write it down and share that experience with somebody else. How are you feeling? How are they feeling? Discuss. And if you're positive and this is a bit of a negative vibe, it's not your responsibility to then gloat about how great you're feeling and being like, oh, you can't bring me down with your negative vibes. I'm sorry if this video feels messy. I think I'll stick to the little notepad. Discuss your emotions below and don't feel shy about it. You're human. What you're feeling now is nothing that somebody else hasn't felt before. Have a banana, my psychology teacher always used to say, because they're filled with lots of vitamins, vitamin B, which is good for your serotonin levels. Makes you feel better. Crying is also good. Crying does not make you weak. In fact, it will make you feel a whole lot stronger afterwards. So have a good cry, have a banana, and just tell me how you're feeling. The question is, how are you? Genuinely, how are you? And if you want to, you can answer that question below. Thank you for watching. Aurora Rockets, out. And sure, it's baby steps, but baby steps are okay if they're going in the right direction.